How about you fix your goddamn PC, build it the right way so you can actually test the frame rates more than 120 FPS, bro?
What's up guys, Jace2Cents here, and we need to build a new computer.
What is up guys, Matt and Jackson here with the Toasty Bros, and today we bring you the 2019 $400 gaming.
Yo, what's up guys? Welcome back to another full PC build guide. So if you've never built a PC before, you've come to the right place.
Today is the long-awaited PC building video. This is so overdue. I've had these parts for about 2 months now. Time to build.
Again.
So a few years ago, TC, or Managing Editor, built a gaming desktop, but it's kind of out of date, and it's definitely not going to hold up for Battlefield 5. So let's build a new one.
Hey everyone, I'm Andy Raffel from eTechnics.com, and today is a bit of a weird one.
A notoriously bad video, apparently. I haven't watched it yet, so this will be interesting to watch. But I've been told it is extremely bad, and it's full of things that you just shouldn't do when building a gaming PC.
A few tech channels brought this to the forefront on Twitter, and I can't resist. It is so bad and full of such misinformation. This may be how the Verge builds a computer, but it is not how you should build one.
You can build a gaming desktop for around $1,000, but I want to go all out, so I spent around $2,000. PC like this is going to be able to play most games at ultra settings. So what do you need to build a desktop? Well, of course, first you need a table.
Hold on, time out. Time out. First you're gonna need a table. Where else are you gonna build this thing?
Wow, that's where we're going with this. Right out of the gate, you need a table.
Preferably not metal. If it's going to be metal, have an anti-static working surface layered on top of it, a thermal paste applicator, an Allen wrench, some tweezers to tighten up the wires.
And here it is. This is where the cringe starts. These are not tweezers, my dear. These are zip ties. I have a lot of them, and hey, check it out. I also have Allen wrenches, but I've never once used them for building computers.
Hold on, did he just say tweezers? He just said tweezers, didn't he? Those are zip ties.
These are tweezers. He did not show tweezers in the video. Tweezers are little things like this. You know, these ones I think are specifically made for your eyebrows, but he actually showed zip ties. I don't know why he called them tweezers. They're not tweezers, they're zip ties. They cable tie stuff together. So, yeah.
A Swiss Army knife, which hopefully has a Phillips head screwdriver in it.
What? A Swiss Army knife, which hopefully has a flip side screwdriver in it? Why are you not checking your tools before you use them?
A Swiss Army knife that hopefully has a Phillips head screwdriver in it. No. How about just get a proper screwdriver like the one I have here.
A Swiss Army knife that hopefully has a screwdriver in it. So he's gonna build this computer with an Allen wrench, a pair of tweezers, and hopefully a screwdriver. He's gonna build this thing on hopes and dreams.
Who the heck builds a computer with a Swiss Army knife? What kind of office do you live in, The Verge, with 2.1 million subscribers, that you can't afford one of these?
You're not gonna buy. I mean, you could just literally have something as small as this, but no, you literally you use a Swiss Army knife.
And then a Swiss Army knife. that hopefully, he says, hopefully has a Phillips attachment. I mean, I've never built a PC using hopes and dreams. Apparently he does. So, and why you'd use a Swiss Army knife anyway? I mean, if it was me, I'd be actually using a fully fledged screwdriver set, which doesn't hopefully have a Phillips attachment. It actually has a Phillips attachment. Look, screwdriver, this one's made by Fantex. I think you can actually buy this. I got given it at a show, but here's the screwdriver. And here's my Phillips attachments. There's no hopefully about it. It actually has Phillips attachments. Why would you even use a Swiss Army knife?
But you have tweezers though.
And last but not least, an anti-static bracelet, which is to protect you and the parts.
Hold on. That's not an anti-static bracelet at all. There's no ground wire coming off of it. He's not connected to anything. That looks like the bracelet I'm wearing. Like this looks like one of my silicone bracelets that I wear.
That is not a anti-static bracelet. An anti-static bracelet usually is like a Velcro bracelet that has a cable that comes out that you clip into something metal to ground yourself. That's like a what would Jesus do bracelet or a hair tie. Or just a regular rubber band. And what do you need protection for? Nothing that you're working with is powered on. There's nothing that you would need protection over.
That is not an anti-static bracelet. Somebody in the tech industry would know. Anybody in the tech industry would know. That is not an anti-static band.
These are the parts you're gonna need.
What? Oh boy, this is gonna be good. Holy shit. Why do you need a rubber bracelet to protect yourself? I understand protecting the parts, but yourself? Unless there's power going through the parts you're working with, you don't need to protect yourself from what, static electricity? What, you're gonna do the Running Man on the carpet really fast and then you're gonna shock yourself?
That's not gonna work at all. Don't listen to this person. This is really bad so far.
We have a lot of boxes and a lot of PC parts, so it's best if you unbox them, isolate the parts that you really need, place items into the case, and make sure that they all fit, and then start working. And now we're really going to start building by adding the motherboard in. Some notes about installing motherboards: they're really delicate, you should be really careful with them, and screw in with confidence, but also don't screw in too hard, otherwise you could crack the board.
Screw in with confidence. I don't think I've ever heard anybody say that when installing a motherboard. Screw in with confidence.
Screw in with confidence. As opposed to what? I'm confident. Give me my screwdriver.
I chose Asus's Z370 motherboard for two main reasons. One, it has built-in Wi-Fi and Bluetooth, and also it has support for NVMe SSD.
Wait, so he's not even... He's putting in the motherboard before he puts in the CPU or the RAM. Generally, you install the CPU and the RAM while it's out, just for ease of access.
Meaning you can get really fast SSDs that are really easy to install. Pay close attention to the brace that goes at the back of the computer. You always have to make sure that you really hammer it in, because there's no screw, it really just has to go outside of the case and clasp.
Did he seriously just call an I/O shield plate a brace?
Hammer it in. That's okay. It's not a brace. It's I/O shield. But you don't need to hammer those in. They have the slot cut out for you. They just snap into place.
What? No way. He's calling the I/O shield a brace.
It's a brace? What are you, a dentist?
Did you just call the I/O shield a brace? No, not. Okay.
Onto the frame. And this is very important because otherwise you can't align the motherboard correctly with the holes. We're just going to start installing all 8 screws. So next we're going to install the RAM on the motherboard. I chose Corsair's 16GB Vengeance LED RAM for two main reasons. One, it has LEDs and we do like lights in our gaming desktops. Secondly, it's pretty fast RAM. It's 2666 megahertz, I believe.
That's not that fast for DDR4 memory. That is very, very slow, actually.
2666 megahertz is the second slowest DDR4 RAM configuration.
So it's pretty fast, and this motherboard supports that speed, which is most important. Open the slots first, and just aligning the stick with the middle of the strip, not with the end, and just lining that up with the logo. So once you hear that solid clasp and you don't see the gold connectors on the side anymore, that's when you know the RAM is in.
Lining it up with the logo. No, on a motherboard it has notches, memory has notches, it kind of only goes one way. I don't know what logo he's talking about.
Hold on. What is that? What is this right here? Oh no, he installed the memory wrong. Oh no. You're never supposed to install a memory side by side like that. So rip dual channel support on his motherboard if he's going to run his RAM like that.
He's basically put them in the wrong slots. I mean, why would you put them in the wrong slots? He clearly doesn't care about getting the most speed out of this super fast 2666 megahertz memory.
He has both of them installed in the wrong orientation, so he's not taking advantage of dual chip.
I just noticed he installed his RAM wrong too. Dude, I can't even make fun of this guy anymore. He's actually like messed up like almost everything. You see this right here? His RAM sticks are right next to each other. He's breaking the dual channel on his motherboard. Wow.
Step 3, we're going to install the hard drive, or in this case, the NVMe SSD. I chose this format of solid-state drive so that I could input it into the motherboard without having to worry about extra wires or putting it in a separate part of the case and just getting really messy. This is from Kingston, and it's 480 gigabytes, so it's not a lot, but you can always upgrade this and swap it.
He didn't put the post in. There's a standoff post that you have to put, okay? Because right now that thing is like this. It's like that. The standoff post keeps it level. So it sits against the standoff post, and then you put the screw in. If he just puts the screw in, he's just screwing it directly into the motherboard with no standoff post. So he's adding pressure. Oh no.
Out, and it's only held down by one screw and the latch, so it's really simple and really straightforward. Speed for gaming is important when it comes to a hard drive. You want files to write quickly and you want games to load quickly, so that's why it's best if you use an SSD. Okay, so step 4, we're going to install the graphics card. I chose PNY's GTX 1080, which is overclocked, and so it's a pretty easy installation. You're just going to find the gold connectors, and you're going to line this bracket with the back end bracket of your PC case. Now, which lane you choose depends entirely on what other parts you're going to put in the system. I'm just going to pick the top one because the SSD is at the bottom and I don't want to cover it.
Absolutely wrong! He's absolutely wrong there. Obviously, you pick the top one because that one has the most bandwidth. Not all PCIe slots are the same.
Hold on. More problems here. He just said it doesn't really matter what slot you put it in, but he's just going to put it in the top one because he doesn't want to cover his SSD. It actually does matter.
Okay, he decided to put the GPU in the top slot, or lane as he called it. Admittedly, it's a PCI Express lane, I'll give him that. But he chose it because of his M.2 NVMe drive with no cables is below it, so that's why he chose the top slot. No, right.
No. What? Which lane you choose? No, there are different kinds of PCIe Express lanes. There's like there's a 16 and 8, and you know, I'm not going to explain this perfectly, but depending on the one that you pick, there's like bandwidth limits. Like if you pick the 8 over the 16, you are like putting a cap on what your graphics card can do.
And that's why most graphics cards are mounted on the top PCIe slot, because that is the one with the fastest bandwidth.
He's picking the top lane because he doesn't want to cover up the M.2 drive and he thinks it looks nice. Now, as luck would have it, he actually chose the right spot. But there is a big difference in what you pick. That does need to be in the top slot because that's an X16 slot. The other slot's probably an X8 slot. So thank God he flipped the coin and actually chose the right slot, but that's not why he chose the slot. And the RAM is still installed wrong.
Click down. Take your remaining brackets and just put them in the spots that you haven't used. You don't have to screw these in. They get bolted down by the back end bracket. And your GPU is installed. Power supply time. I chose Corsair's 850 watt power supply because I need enough headroom for ray tracing GPUs when they come out, and I don't want to have to upgrade it again. So all you have to do is take the brick.
Did he seriously just say, take the brick? He referred to a power supply as a brick. Okay, story time. This is a power supply. It's a Corsair AX1600i. I'm actually going to take the power supply itself out. It looks very similar to the one he has, just a little bit more powerful, slightly different branding, but I'll show you the difference. This is not a brick. This is a power supply. This is not a power supply. This is a brick. Power supply, brick. Brick, power supply. Ugh.
The brick. Take the brick. That's just, you could just say take the PSU or take the power supply, not the brick.
And make sure that you align it with these little insulating pads so the power supply doesn't short circuit and come into contact with the rest of the system.
Okay, so hold on. If the chassis of your power supply touches your case, it's gonna short circuit the rest of your system? What are you on, dude? What the Like, this is sponsored video. This is presented by Capital One. This is the this is a bigger scam than any of my other videos. This is a scam.
Those are not insulating. Hold on. Did these say insulating pads?
Doesn't short circuit. Doesn't short circuit. Those are not insulating pads. Those are vibration dampening pads. So when you have the power supply running, you don't hear vibration from the fan that's in the power supply.
What? Okay, those are not insulating pads. Those are anti-vibration pads. And that's only there so when the fan spins, it doesn't cause any kind of rattle in your case. That's all that they're there for. They're not insulating pads. And two, you will not short circuit your PSU if you put it in there and it makes contact with your case. That is so dumb. Okay, I hope that he flips this around because the fan's on the other side. You don't want to push it against this back.
So just take it in, slide it in nice and easy.
Oh my God, he's putting the fan towards the back of the case. He's gonna suffocate airflow on it. Oh no. You should never do that. Never, ever, like, block the fan on a power supply.
He's doing it again. He's doing it again. He's installing it with the fan facing inwards. How's it gonna...
Slide it in nice and easy until you have a snug fit.
This is terrible. This is potentially a fire hazard because fans on the power supply are on the wrong side. They're not breathing. They don't have any intake because it's essentially facing a wall on that side of the case. What the case is designed for is that the power supply should be facing outward, or the fan should be facing outward so it could pull air in. This is a potential fire hazard. For example, somebody like you who just builds on potentially cheaper power supplies. For the beginner out there who builds on their power supplies thinking, oh, I gotta coat my power supply now with some paper on the sides because I could be electrically shocked because there's no rubber in my case. This is misinformation.
Until you have a snug fit, and then shift it to the back and make sure it's right up against the frame. Now you just take the required screws and you tighten and screw in. So next step, we're going to install the CPU core. In this case, it's going to go on the top end of the case, and we're just going to have the hose hang out for a little while until we install the processor, which is going to come a little later. Always be sure to try to place it in the system first before you install.
I can see the table through the fins of the radiator. He does not have fans on that. That is a big rookie mistake.
I could see through this. There is no fan here. Okay, so I don't think this case supports the fans being on the outside like this.
He didn't install fans. He didn't install fans in the radiator.
So he cannot put the fans at the top. So the fans need to go on the bottom. So if he was an actual tutorial, he would show people that you have to screw the fans in with the long screws. You screw in the fans and then you install it and then mount it. You don't put this in without the fans because now that you've also put your graphics card in, you're not going to be able to get a screwdriver in there.
He's installing the radiator without the fans. This is a choice you can make But generally you don't do that. You put the fans on your radiator and then you install both of them, the radiator and the fans, on the system.
Because you can see it takes up a lot of space. But in this case, no pun intended, it fits in perfectly, and we're gonna start screwing it in. And so there's nothing special about this screwing in process. They're just really long screws because they go through the entire frame of the cooler.
You know why they're really long screws is because you're supposed to put the fans on and then you're supposed to put the fans on the radiator and then screw the fans on with those screws. That's why they're long.
Okay, so he's using the long screws that come with an AIO, which typically go through the fan and then into the radiator, and he's screwing it directly into the radiator from the outside of the chassis. So, what?
He's using the wrong screws on the wrong side of the radiator. He's potentially damaging the radiator because you don't know if those screws push in the entire way. Why? He should be using a short screw on the side of where the radiator mounts to the case. That's for the fans, because the fans are this thick and the screws go through the fans into the radiator to mount them to the radiator. If you read any manual, you would know this, but holy God in heaven, this guy doesn't know what he's doing.
He's gonna break the radiator. He's gonna go all the way through the radiator. You're not supposed to use the short screws. You don't use the long screws. The long screws is to go through the fan into like the screw hole of the radiator, not all the way through the radiator into the fan.
Okay, those long screws are not meant, you're not supposed to drive a screw in all the way through your radiator. You're gonna puncture your radiator. Those long screws are for the fans. And they're long because it has to go through the fan and into that radiator. If he's using the long screws to mount this thing on here, he's now jacked his entire radiator.
And they take forever. So next up, cables. Every power supply is going to come with a big bag of Velcro cables.
Wrong! Some power supplies have built-in cables and no bag of cables. This is a beginner PC build guide? This is a build guide for people who don't know how to build PCs. They have a power supply that has all the umbilicals coming out of it. And they're gonna ask, where are my bag of cables? I've been robbed! Are you saying I'm lying? The Verge with 2.1 million subscribers has every power supply has a bag of cables. This guy has no idea what he's talking about.
Just gonna pause there. Not all power supplies are modular. So they might not come with those cables. They might already come attached to the power supply.
No, they don't. No, they don't. They don't all come with a big bag of cables. This is so sad. Okay. I feel like I don't even have to like argue this to you. If you watch my videos, I feel like you have a basic understanding of building a computer, but unless you have a modular power supply, they don't come with a big bag of cables. They will already be connected to your power supply whether you like it or not.
It's kind of daunting at first, so you always have to find the ones that are going to fit. In this case, you need to match those cables with the correct descriptions on the power supply.
Wouldn't it have been better if he described each one of them, told you which one goes where, instead of just telling you that you have to find the ones that fit? Like you can wing it for some reason?
Next step is we're connecting the power supply to the motherboard with a 24-pin cable. We're just matching that cable from the motherboard, threading it through the back, and attaching the 24-pin header to the power supply so that we can have one of the connections complete. The next few additions will be for the GPU, for any specific ports that the case has, for any lighting that the case has, the CPU cooler, anything else really. We're installing the CPU, the heart of the computer or the brain, depending on how you look at it.
Oh dear. Considering you've fucked up everything so far, I have no faith in you putting the CPU properly in its socket. So far this is a really bad video to guide people after they've spent $2,000 on the parts. Like they're just gonna end up with a $2,000 brick or doorstop. This is not good.
So to do this, we're just going to remove the plastic covering that they put on the motherboard.
Don't do that, no. No!
What? What?
We're just
No,
gonna take
what are you
this little
doing?
plastic part out. We'll just toss that out of here.
No, don't do that.
And
No, you need that.
What the heck did he just do? He goes like, Last Jedi level. You don't throw those away because when your motherboard, for example, needs to be repaired or needs to be, let's say you got a lemon of a motherboard. You put the cover back on so the pins don't get damaged when you're shipping it back to the manufacturer.
Okay, so motherboard manufacturers actually require you to have that the plastic cover for the socket, the CPU socket, if you plan on RMAing that motherboard. If there's a problem with it and you plan on sending it back to the manufacturer to get fixed, they need that plastic cover. They will not accept an RMA process or request if you don't have that cover. So don't throw that away. Always keep that, just so you know.
And now we have an exposed CPU holder, or rather slot.
A CPU holder or slot. It's called a socket. S-O-C-K-E-T. Socket.
Just call it a socket. It's a socket. It's not a holder. It's a socket.
On the motherboard. And we're going to use the CPU applicator. This is a special little part that not every...
What are you doing? You can't do that. You're gonna... You don't touch the bottom of the thing. Ever. With anything. Especially your fingers because of the oils. God.
CPU applicator? Who the heck uses that? You just drop your CPU in. This makes it much harder because that's another thing you have to hold on to, that your CPU could potentially fall off of while putting it into your motherboard with all the crap that you already put in there with the fans, with the GPU. You're just making it worse.
Everyone may get, but this motherboard that we got from ASUS definitely does have. It's called a CPU installation.
Oh my god, no.
It makes it really useful if you want to install a Core i7 hexa-core C applicator. This is a special part that
I've never seen that.
Get, but this motherboard
I have never seen that in my life. I have never seen a bracket for the CPU to be held on so you can install it properly. Never seen that. Usually it's just you open up the socket and you drop it in, make sure the arrows on the socket and the CPU are matching, obviously, so you don't crush the pins that are on the socket, the motherboard socket. And then you tighten her up and you're ready to go. I mean, I've never seen anything like that. So this is, I guess, motherboard specific.
CPU. Yeah, we've got one, and it's an 8th generation chip, and it's ready to go, and it supports overclocking. So what having this little installer does for you is it's basically a brace that you can apply right to the CPU and light it up with the triangles that you'll see on the bottom left corner.
Triangles on the motherboard.
And this will make it easier for us to apply it to the motherboard and then apply thermal paste and then apply a CPU cooler on top.
You don't apply anything.
And we're just going to carefully lean it down into the system and make sure that everything lines up.
You took the
and
tool
we're going to
off
clasp
and you
down
threw
on
it to
it.
The holder's right here.
Look at this. He knew he f***ed up in this video. He knows he f***ed up because look, the tool is like right here. It's to the side. He knows he didn't need it. Now we can't delete everything he said because the editor is someone else other than him.
So he manhandled the CPU and he went, but you know what? Let's put it in this holder. Let's be extra delicate. Jerk this plastic thing into it. And then we're gonna gently put it on there, but be prepared because you need to get rid of this holder to put it back in the socket. Oh no.
And we'll be good to go. So we're about to apply thermal paste to the CPU. Every CPU cooler actually comes with a bit of thermal paste already neatly applied in a circle around it, but it's usually not enough. It's good, essentially PC building practice to have a little bit extra.
Usually not enough. I'm done. I can't do this anymore.
It's good PC building practice to have a little extra? Who told you this? Hey kid, you know what's good PC building practice? Adding more thermal paste into the pre-applied, perfectly applied thermal paste on the all-in-one cooler. And you know what? Mixing a different brand of thermal paste to the thermal paste already pre-applied so that you get two substances there with different, thermal coefficients and whatnot, because that's gonna make, it super efficient, right?
and layer it on top of the CPU.
Oh my god, that is so much more than you need. That can do damage. If the thermal paste is conductive, it can leak onto the motherboard if you put too much on, and it can short circuit stuff. That is where you can short circuit stuff.
By the looks of it, where I've paused, he looks like he's adding more thermal paste to the CPU, and then he's gonna put what's already on the cooler on top, which that's a big no-no. Don't do that, that's awful.
Okay, so there's many different ways to apply thermal paste. I've actually done tests myself, loads of other people on YouTube and across the internet have done loads of tests themselves. So you have the P method, you basically, like a little P, like tiny little ball. You can do the line method on bigger processors like Threadripper. We typically do like an X or like a Union Jack style kind of, thing. It looks like he's using the constellation method. Apparently this is a new method. It's like dot line. I've never seen this before. I've been doing this pretty much all my life and I've never seen this ever.
The final portion is to add the CPU cooler to the top end of the processor. So you're gonna see that there are four
Holy shit!
Oh my god, what is that? What is this application process? What is that? Dude, you had a thermal paste spreader. Use the fucking thing. What is that?
Oh my god! What did he do?
Or rather like...
He went old bukkake up in that thermal paste.
Look at that. He still hasn't fixed the RAM. Look at all this. That is so much. So there's already some on the cooler right here. He's now coated. First of all, where did his thermal paste applicator come in? And he still hasn't used the damn Allen wrench. The only thing that comes to mind in looking at this is imagine a ketchup packet slowly being ran over, right? As it gets further down, ketchup, right out the sides. I feel like that's gonna be all over your motherboard. That is way too much. Fix your goddamn RAM.
It's like someone threw up thermal paste onto his processor. No, if this is the first time you've ever seen one of my videos, don't ever apply thermal paste like that.
Wow. So his constellation method has now kind of turned into, I guess, the bird shit method. It literally looks like a bird of shit all over the processor. I shit you not. I'm gonna be very surprised if this boots. And he still hasn't moved the memory. The memory's still next to each other, so no dual channel memory this time.
Brackets, or rather like screws in here with brackets and holders right here. And they're going to keep the cooler raised off the processor, but it's also going to be close enough to actually physically come in contact with it, like basically keep it cool. Take thumb screws like this and just screw them on. So now that our internals are done, we're going to put all the panels back on, which is the top glass, side glass, front glass, and of course the back panel where all of this fun stuff is happening. So we fully built the PC.
Look at that.
So that cable management now.
Oh my god. What is going on with that cable management? Like he didn't even care. This is atrocity at its finest. What are we looking at?
What is this? What is all of this? The cable managing's terrible. I mean, your airflow is gonna be shit because of this. You need to... Oh my lord.
Dude, look at this. Okay, this is power for a CPU. Why? He went through this hole and all the way up here. There's a hole at the top, man. Just run it through and plug it right in. And you're... Okay, granted, there's not a whole lot you could probably do with the tubing. I mean, you could probably move it out of the way, but look at this 24-pin connector. And what the hell is all this? Oh my god.
PC.
Oh. I called it. I called it. Oh, what is that? Oh my god, mine has like 10 times better cable management, like 50 million times better cable management than that. He just has them hanging. Your case has so much room behind there. Can we look at how much room you have behind there? Why are you...
Look, man, I know I've shown some bad cable management on the channel before, but like not with a $2,000 budget I have. Oh my God.
There's a lot going on here that's wrong. When you're building a computer, always take the time to cable manage properly. Make sure everything looks neat. You know, your cables are not going to affect your airflow inside your case, because that's just awful. Just awful.
So this is what he did when he did the cable management, and he actually used his quote-unquote tweezers slash what we know as zip ties, but he didn't do a very good job of actually cleaning up. Or he didn't do any job at cleaning up. And holy crap, look, there's a missing screw on his all-in-one water cooler pump. What? Well, how would you forget that? Why, you just had 3 and there's an extra one and you just threw it away just like your socket cover? And look at this. The tubing that goes into his all-in-one water cooler pump contacts the 1080 graphics card that he has. That's bad practice because, you know, a little bit of transference, a little bit of rubbing, a little bit of, you know, issues there that could arise from a rubber tubing or a braided rubber tubing being heated up and contacting a very delicate PCB on the graphics card. And that thing contains liquids that could potentially short out the system if it gets damaged by the heat generated by the graphics card. It's obvious you tried to clean up the cables because the zip ties are there, or so-called tweezers. All you gotta do is route the cables in the right holes and plug them in as close as possible to their routing holes. Now it looks like he managed to find the right screw for the fans. Oh, good. He got that one right, bros. Oh man.
Everything's put together and we got to the post screen. So what's next? Well, you need a USB flash drive with your Windows installation media on it, and of course a license key. So I plugged that up, installed Windows in a couple of minutes, installed a bunch of drivers, and now we have a fully functioning gaming PC ready to run some games. Right now I've got Arma 3 running at maximum settings, native resolution, which is 1080p HD. And it's running pretty smoothly. Like, I'm averaging 70 and 80 FPS, and this is normally like a very intensive game to run. And it's still doing a pretty good job. So right now I'm playing League of Legends. It's one of my favorite games. I'm actually playing against a bot, and I'm distracted, so I'm not actually doing so well. But otherwise, like, this is pretty much what you would see me do on a gaming computer. Test stuff out, and hopefully have really high frame rates like I am right now. I'm averaging 120 FPS, and that's only because I've actually locked the game to that frame rate, because I can get around 300 FPS playing League on maximum settings, which is a little bit absurd, and you don't really need that, so I've locked it.
You don't even need this much power! This guy. You don't need a hexa-core i7 and an 1080 to play League of Legends.
You got an 8700K and a 1080 inside, and you're benchmarking with League of Legends?
He's locked the game at 120 FPS. Why? Aren't we supposed to be benchmarking something? Why even bother? Why even bother showing this clip?
For context, League of Legends, go and read this. The minimum requirement for League of Legends is literally a single core processor. The developers actually tell you that the game can be run on a processor with 1 core. This guy's using an 8700K and benchmarking League of Legends as if it's impressive.
Building a gaming desktop has been a great experience. I'm able to max out a lot of my favorite titles, and I'll be able to play a lot of upcoming titles like Battlefield 5 and Cyberpunk 2077 without worrying too much about the parts I have. When ray tracing GPUs come out, for example, I'll be able to upgrade without having to buy a completely new system, and if I have a problem down the line, I can always just swap out a part and have it serviced rather than losing my whole computer. And of course now we also have a computer to test and benchmark games here at The Verge.
No. You did not get the right to benchmark games or test PC components if you build PCs like that, bro.
But you know, I'm streaming, I'm doing good. It's a Sunday morning, we're playing Black Ops.
Why'd you say you could be better? What's going on, man? You all good?
Yeah, I work for a big publication. Basically, I made a PC video, and some very angry nerds are very angry with how I built the computer, but it still works, so...
Oh, so you're just getting hated on because they're like, oh, well, if you would have plugged it in here, it would have saved some,
That's exactly what they're doing. And I mean, like, everything that they mentioned was corrected after the fact as well, but, like, it's not my first computer, and, you know, it still fucking works. It's a better computer than probably what most of them have. It's a better computer than probably what most of them have. It's a better computer than probably what most of them have. It's a better computer than probably what most of them have.
That's probably why they removed the video from the Verge channel. Because it was that bad. It was so bad that they had to remove it from their channel. The Verge, a company YouTube channel. Like, it's a YouTube channel based on a company. You would think that a tech enthusiast company like this would have their shit down and would watch the video before you do it. Have somebody that's intelligible in that subject area watch the video before they do that. But no, they didn't. And that's why that happened. I had to go to this third-party dude, he has 44 subscribers, to find this video. Because it's been deleted.
How about you fix your goddamn PC, build it the right way?
Alright, so long story short, this video sucks. And I don't, Capital One, I don't know why you guys sponsored this video because it's terrible. It's full of misinformation. A lot of people are gonna screw their computer up.
Admittedly, The Verge have a bigger following than we do on YouTube. They've got 2.1 million subscribers. So potentially there's 2.1 million people who may want to build a PC, who are just subscribers, are going to be watching this video on how not to build a $2,000 gaming PC.
This can't be a troll video. Like, he actually must be like completely serious the entire time while shooting this thing, because this is a sponsored video, and they have over 2.1 million subscribers. There's just no way this is a troll video. Like, this guy's actually serious.
What are you doing? 2.1 million subscribers ain't got a freaking screwdriver. Doesn't know what the heck tweezers are versus a zip tie. Doesn't know how to mount an all-in-one water cooler. Doesn't know how to put a power supply into their case. Thinks a power supply can short circuit by contacting the metal case. Thinks that they can just mix thermal paste together and just overflow their entire system with thermal paste. What is going on, The Verge?
You know what he totally skipped too? He totally forgot to mention how to plug in the power switch, reset switch, front USBs, front headphone jack and microphone jack. Totally skipped over that. Totally skipped over the front panel I/O.
Presented by Capital One. We put the FU in tutorials. Oh my god, man. This is a train wreck. I could see why everyone's reacting to this now. This is bad. This is so bad. I see now why they deleted the video. Oh, I can't even watch it anymore. I'm done. I don't want to watch anymore. Don't ever follow that. That's a horrible idea.